and gentlemen, welcome to the Bidness. Today we got some great people in ska. We got Rich Moonstomp from the Israelites and former metal or punk band member of Cross. We have Buddy J. Kieffer or Kieffer? Kieffer or Kieffer? I don't know. Kieffer. Buddy J. Kieffer from the Cascadians, and he also plays in the Israelites. We have Bill Hosack from Sturgeon General, and also from the Orbital Microsystems. And of course, we'll talk about that in a bit. We were going to have Juan Carlos, but Juan Carlos is in Facebook jail. I'm Curtis with Monkey. This is Brian, the returning champion, with Monkey as my co-host. And let's jump right into it. This show has only 2 questions, and one we ask at the beginning, one we ask at the end. Question number 1 is, what did you do this last year to keep from going insane during the COVID lockdown? And we'll start with Bill. Bill, what did you do this year?
What did I do? Well, since I've always been the road warrior, so this was like exceptionally challenging. So, living in a van, touring around, business. I'm the guy that hops in the airplane and leaves country. So it was actually really, really challenging to kind of park it. But to be honest, it really was spending time with my family. I mean, this is the longest. I hadn't spent more than 2-3 months at home at any time before this happened. So, that was really good. So I was really getting a lot out of that. But also, I've got a business and a company that deals with with technologies that doesn't stop. It's related to weather and anyways. But working a lot on that and drugs. Like no, but and then just trying to play some, keep the chops up so you don't totally go crazy, because that stopped. Doing all the live playing, which is, I think, for all of us really that's the pressure valve, right? Yeah. When the pit gets too much, you always know, oh my God, I got to go pick my horn up, blow some sounds, yell rude things at people in the crowd, and they're going to pay me to do it. It's awesome.
Well, they pay you, but only a little bit.
Look, I know what I am. We just haggle over price, and I'm very cheap.
For certain. Awesome. And,
you sure you're not getting paid in exposure bucks?
And I seem to remember your wife made some really, really good pancakes. So I'm just wondering if you put on any COVID.
Actually, it's opposite. She cut a whole bunch of weight. So yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Mostly plant-based. So I sneak out for my my survival burger every once in a while. Have to head up to Massachusetts to do that though for a while. But but no, actually that's been another kind of perk, a silver lining in getting stuck at home, is I'm not eating airport food. I'm not having to go out and and eat like a dude, with the brontosaurus wrap and everything. I'm actually almost like healthy for a change. It's kind of
nice. Weird. No more. What's it? That company, TJ Hortons or whatever, the airport donut place.
Oh man,
Tim Hortons.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some great stops in airports around the country, which is a big problem. But there are also airports where you're just standing there going, you know what? I'm actually going to eat the food on the plane.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Hey, Rich, what did you do this last year to keep yourself from going absolutely crazy from the COVID lockdown?
A lot.
Tell us.
Basically, I'm an essential worker with both of my jobs.
Okay.
I worked during the first part of it. I've been working for Coca-Cola for 15 years. And so, people need their soda. They were not going to let us stay home. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
And I also drive for Lyft and Uber. So people needed to get around. So I'm more of an essential. I had to be out there. Then came down with arthritis in both knees. And I had to quit Coke after 15 years. And now I'm working for UPS, which is another essential thing because nobody's going to the store anymore. So I got blessed with that new job, and I don't have to work as long, and it's just way better. And then as far as like musically, I was just going nuts, and we all were, and we wanted to practice. So, dude, finally by I think we started practicing again in like April, May. We tried to take some time off, but we just couldn't do it anymore. So we just have like these practices where everybody stands far away from each other, and if you want to wear a mask, go ahead. And because we're working on we're almost done practicing our 10th album. It's gonna be called Israelite Train. It's gonna be all reggae and rocksteady.
Nice.
And we're getting ready to record that, and we were working on just instead of playing because we can't play, right? So what else are you gonna do? You start working on recordings. I'm 6 albums behind.
Wow.
Right now that I had planned. So we're also working on getting our last album, Restoration, out on vinyl.
Sweet.
And so we were working on that. And then the last thing was all the gyms were closed. Yeah. And I've got to lose 70 pounds, so I spent $1,000 on an elliptical machine.
Oh, nice.
All right. I am not going to work out. I have to. I'll go crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So it sounds like you've been pretty active, doing your thing. What about you, Buddy J?
Yeah, I did a lot too. Really, we're talking about a whole year here, right? So a lot happened. At first, I spent some time feeling sorry for myself and for everyone, and being like, this is horrible. I can't do anything that I love to do. This is shit. So I'm just going to sleep all day. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And then one day I woke up and realized that, hey, maybe this is an opportunity to do some stuff that I haven't had time to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just my outlook just changed this one day when I woke up. So one of the things I did was I started a business. I started a food cart because, Portland. And I was a chef for many years, for like 15 years, and then stopped doing it for about 7 years and started getting more serious about music and some other things. But I started a food cart, and I bought one and built it and restored it and put cedar on the outside, and then opened it for a couple of months, only to realize that it's maybe not the best time to be opening a new business.
It's in my front yard. You want to see it?
Yeah, I actually have it parked somewhere.
Well, the crazy thing about the COVID thing is that everybody wants their food brought to them now. You can literally go up and down the street with the ice cream man bell, ding, 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 and selling tacos or burritos, whatever you want to.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's maybe a little bit more so in some ways it seemed like a good time for it, but it ended up not being. It's sort of a long story, maybe too long to tell. But I'll open it again eventually. Is the good part of the story there. And then surprisingly playing a lot more than I thought, because people have been doing projects where we record remotely, which is something that I've never done before. Props to Terrence Pascal from one of the bands I play with, Cascadians. He's the band leader there, and he's been organizing all of these recording sessions that we do remotely. And that creates a whole plethora of other issues that you can run into with it, trying to get it to sound great. But amazingly, everyone in the group kind of comes together with their different skill sets to mix it in such a way that it turns out well.
Nice.
So with that band, we've been able to release new music. We released a new album during this, and just pressed a 7-inch. And so we've been making moves, even though we, for the most part, haven't been able to be together. And then had lots of other people hitting me up to record on, do session work for them, other bands and other projects and some Latin stuff and cumbia and people's side projects from bands. That's because that's another thing. Like, enough musicians, and then so it seems like some of the musicians that I play with or that I know from other bands are now going, I can't play with this band, so I'm going to make the solo record that I've been wanting to make.
Yeah.
For the past 10 years or whatever. And, and then they want some saxophone, so they call me.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. All those things I mentioned and video games.
Gotta throw video games on the top.
Yeah, not to mention
really
lots
for like 15 years because of being a chef and being so busy with my career and also being a musician and being a horn player, playing in literally 3 or 4, sometimes at some points even 5 bands. Keeps you busy, from doing stuff like that. But it turns out video games have gotten bigger in the past 15 years. I didn't know that. And so, anyways, public service announcement.
Yeah,
much more. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they've really progressed from where I left them off. So.
When you were saying that you were playing with other bands and stuff, file sharing and whatnot, that brings up the fact that both I and Brian here have been doing the same thing as well. Brian's been trading files with the NPCs and Housebound Collective, right? Or are you?
Oh no, Smoke and Mirrors.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I've been doing stuff with Smoke and Mirrors and with Andy B and the World, or Andy B versus the World, or I think it's Andy B and the World. Yeah.
It's kind of cool because you end up collaborating.
Oh yeah,
that maybe you normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's
right
for sure.
It's one good.
It's been really interesting.
Good or interesting thing.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is with like say the Andy B project, that project was not so specific. So it was like, hey, if you want to play something, just play something you feel appropriate on whatever instrument you feel appropriate, and then send me the file and I'll decide whether it sounds appropriate. And
like over a bass track.
Yeah. So
like a rhythm track.
So what he sent me was like a couple songs. I mean, this is not in the ska. Well, it's ska adjacent. It's not in the ska. It's not actually ska. It's not actually reggae, but it's like kind of fits in the almost like a punky, folky kind of thing, right? And what he was doing was he would finish a song relatively, get the vocalist on it, that sort of thing, and then he'd go like, I think I want backup vocals. You got anything in you? Yeah, I got backup vocals. Okay, cool. You want anything else? Yeah, what you got? I'm like, I got, and I just listed all the instruments I have in my house, and he's like, oh, well, do whatever you feel natural. And so I sent him the track that he loves is he asked me specifically for ukulele on a track, right? He's like, you play ukulele? I'm like, yeah, sure, I play. But when I play the ukulele, it sounds too plunky for the song that he's got because there's a lot of stuff going on. It's like baka, 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 baka kind of song, right? And so I said, here's the ukulele track. And he's like, what is that? That doesn't sound like a ukulele at all. And I said, what I did was I put the microphone really close to the ukulele, and then I propped it up on something, and then I took a paintbrush and I went, and I just brushed the strings with a paintbrush. And he's like, that is absolutely freaking brilliant. And I'm like, yeah, because I wanted the sound of the ukulele, but the plunkiness was too plunky, right? So so he loved stuff like that. So I if there's anybody out there doing that kind of stuff, I suggest this is the time to go crazy. Like if you have fucking weird idea, like this is what a guitar sounds like when it's boiled.
If anybody is out,
a lot of weird ideas.
If anybody is out there doing stuff like that, Curtis would like to get weird with you.
For certain. Yeah. Rich, I'll get weird all over your past 6 albums.
Just turn it into a psychedelic kind of
send over those wave files.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, so William, tell us what your company actually does, because it's pretty intriguing.
Orbital Microsystems has kind of two sides to it. One, we build very small weather satellites. Actually, if you look over here, that is actually a full-size model.
Oh, wow.
It's a Lego model, but you can see the size of them, right? Very small, like 30 centimeters. And what that is it's a microwave satellite. So just think of it like a satellite that can do an MRI of the atmosphere and measure temperature, humidity, and precipitation. So we're actually flying a constellation of those. And then we have a marketplace platform where other data companies, analytics companies and all combine. And then we're working with the insurance industry and the agriculture industry. And we are the only company in the world that can fly these miniaturized radiometers.
Okay.
It's our own technology.
Like an exclusive license or exclusive patent?
No. It's fully developed by us. And I mean it's weighs basically 2 kilograms and is 10 centimeters by 20 centimeters in size. So very, very, very small, and a fraction of the cost. So our ultimate goal though is to change the way farmers get insured for the rest of the world.
Okay.
Because we take for granted what we have in the United States, Canada, and Europe when it comes to weather. We think, everybody's got the same coverage, but it can be 16 to 18 hours before you can get a weather update in the Philippines or in India or South Africa.
Yeah.
You got a typhoon bearing down on you. You kind of want to know about that stuff. So
it'd be nice to know. It'd be nice to know.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It's a big idea, and how they every pitch ends in Silicon Valley, and we're going to change the world, and we are literally changing the lives of billions of people. So it's a big idea and lots of work, and it's a good crew that we're working with. So,
nice.
Actually, Richard McAllister, who's a drummer in Sturgeon. He's our CIO, and his expertise is in AI and ML because drummers do that.
That's cool. That's really cool. What do you think? What do you think of the recent Mars lander?
Oh, come on, dude! I mean, that's freaking cool.
That's Geek Central.
Did you see that the new rover accidentally drew a penis on the surface of Mars?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that. Did it? Awesome.
They're all like, "Oh, the rover accidentally drew a penis on the surface of Mars." You're like, "Oh yeah, total accident."
Yeah. So
there was some
it's kind of a reverse attitude.
Yeah, totally.
Normally, you spell your name in the snow, but this was the creator.
Next level.
I always spell Scott in the fun. Back alley.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I worked at NASA for a brief period when I was younger, and met a lot of the scientists that are kind of in many different fields, right? Aeronautics and space administration, that kind of stuff. But it was always interesting to find out like how casual they are. And how they would actually put that kind of a joke. They would actually kind of do that on purpose and then go, "No, what are you talking about? Not me."
Yeah.
Well, you guys are the most intelligent morons I've ever met.
You know what?
You've been drawing dicks on Mars again.
They're looking at the science manifest. They're building $1 billion vehicle. And it's amazing how it's always draw a penis always falls on that list.
Always on there. There's actually a government fund allocated for it. It's like the penis drawing fund.
It's in every RFP. your hardware must be able to draw beams. So
and this time the technology was so good that the ROI was really low. So.
But no, it's it's kind of interesting because I've with all the SpaceX things going on, and for me, being kind of in the industry, kind of like, okay, yeah, it's all cool stuff, but it really slammed home with me that what Elon is doing, that is my kids' Apollo.
Yeah.
Where we had shuttle, right? And now but yeah, SpaceX is like everybody's it's like the this generation of kids next step into space, so it's been fun watching them just go, it's so cool. It's like, that's
Yeah, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just keep waiting for the first ska band in space. Who's going to be the first ska band in space? What do you guys think?
I'll tell you what. I would do it in a heartbeat. We've got people in Sturgeon that have played ska on every continent. So
that's right.
Yeah. All we got left is space. So
Well, I think the Aquabats will probably beat you. I think it's probably going to be
maybe, but look, when tourism starts, you need a bar.
Yeah.
And if you got a bar, you got a ska band. You got to book a ska band at least once a week, right?
For sure.
That's kind of the rule. So
sure.
All I can say about like the first ska band in space is you always have to test with a monkey first.
Yeah, but we'll be one of those test monkeys that they're like, they shoot them up and they're like, let it just burn up in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
we just wanted to see if it would work. Can we hear the trumpets? Yep, we can hear them melting.
It's already space music, though, right? I mean, that's where the name Scatolites comes from, right? They're talking about satellites out there.
Absolutely.
And some of that music takes me to outer space, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely.
So might as well go there.
Nice. Yeah, and speaking of outer space, Oregon is, man, you guys can have mushrooms. You can have everything.
Yeah, I personally think it's a good move to just decriminalize all of this stuff instead of throwing people into prisons about it and ruining their lives. Instead, you can provide services for them if they have a problem to rehabilitate and or maybe try these substances over here instead of these ones. These ones are a little better for you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a great thing. I think it's I support it. Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I support having assistance for those who anywhere from someone being interested in wanting to learn more about it. Like, it'd be great if the government had like a page, like, this is what it does to you. These are the things to worry about, and these are the helplines that if you do take it too far or you get into trouble, you can reach out to somebody and they can assist you.
Sure, like any other type of medicine, let's say, where there's a list of potential side effects and
exactly
that you could experience.
Yeah.
I think that's probably where we're heading, and I think it's a good idea.
Here's like the drug nurse hotline.
Stop taking someone who's withdrawing from something and throwing them in a prison cell, and then eventually releasing them and saying good luck.
Yeah. Well, that was a problem with the for-profit prisons. The for-profit prisons, those guys that opened up those prisons, they did so because they had pushed the whole bill with 3 strikes you're out. So they pushed for that bill, and then once it came in, they just said, okay, well, now we can open up this big thing that we could just basically sell to Mattel and have Mattel toys being manufactured by prisoners. And it's like, that is not right.
Craziness and
sure.
Well, and, I mean, some of them, you can't call it a quota, but they got paid a minimum amount regardless of whoever was in there. So, the state controllers are looking at this going, it's like this is money that we need to leverage. So I mean, it's unfortunately, on one hand, I am for kind of the democratization and opening up of a lot of the government functions, but things like incarceration are just kind of one of those things where it can get bastardized so easily, right? And you just keep moving that line a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further, and before you know it, we've got Running Man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it shouldn't have been legal or even considered that any company would benefit from the incarceration from a human being.
That's right. In other words, some things should not be democratized, and some things should not be a business.
Now, with that being said, I'm all for using incarcerated peoples as a source of food. No, I'm just kidding. For like municipal projects, right? Like if the local jail wants to supply a workforce to, like, say, build low-cost housing or to fix a road or to pick up trash, that is, like, fine by me. I think they're paying their debt to society at that point. But paying their debt to someone that's making money off of it, nah, that's not cool. It shouldn't have been cool in the first place. Shouldn't have been a topic of discussion. But that's what happens when you open up that door.
It's like my dad is an ex-con. He spent 9.5-ish years total in the California State Penitentiary system before it was privatized, before it was all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's down in the LA area, one of them, he got moved into a fire line crew and went out and fought forest fires, and not like in the fire mix, but like creating fire lines, like well beyond, like digging ditch, all that kind of stuff. And he's just like, he's 81 years old this year, and he's like, you know what, prison was the fucking worst thing, but you know what wasn't the fucking worst thing in the world? When I got onto that fire crew, and my entire demeanor and my entire life and my entire mentality changed. And when I got on that fire crew, that's when I got out, was like, I need to quit doing heroin. I need to fucking like learn a trade. I need to do something better. And he did. He became a metal worker. He married my mom. My brother was born. He moved up to Washington, and that was the whole thing. Boom. But that's it right there. Rehabilitation through civic works. And through mental health education and really taking care of people that are broken.
I think most people want to work. They just want to enjoy the work that they do. And when you give people an opportunity to do some type of work where they feel like they're giving back or being part of a community, that's a really good feeling for most people. And so they just automatically want to maybe improve your circumstances, right?
Right.
I think in general that what and I forgive me for speaking in your dad's behalf, but I think that most people just want to feel like they fucking matter.
Yeah.
Right. So
so
it's like if you just tell them that they matter, or you just give them a job that people say thank you for doing the job, maybe they will rehabilitate that portion of their mind that says you're doing something wrong.
Right.
And if somebody would have done that to them when they were younger, they wouldn't have joined gangs. They wouldn't have been in prison. Most men especially are just looking to belong. We want to belong with other guys, like, hey, these are my boys,
And here's the issue with the current rehabilitation system is the first run that my dad did was after the shitty legislation in the 60s, which made marijuana a Class A drug, and he got popped with, I think, 6 joints like 6 half-gram joints,
Mm-hmm.
and he got sent to a state penitentiary over that, which is ridiculous in itself.
And then it starts a cycle. You're in the system now, right?
That's exactly it. He got out. I think he got out after 2.5 years or 18 months. I forget what it was. They had repealed something, so it wasn't as harsh. So he got let out. But he owed some favors when he got out. And the next time he went to prison was doing a favor that he owed to somebody inside, and it was for aggravated assault and armed robbery with a sawed-off shotgun. So tell me where the rehabilitation is in fucking prison.
There isn't any.
Like,
Yeah.
no, it's yeah.
I forget which country, but I think it's either Norway or Denmark, one of those really northern countries. But their version of prison is like an island with like a really nice home and really good food and lots of gardening. And people that go to the prison, they're like, yeah, I miss my family, but this is helping me immensely. Like I'm not surrounded by drugs. I'm surrounded by good people doing good things, and I just am working to make this as short of an event in my life as I can possibly do it, so I can go back to my family and show them all these great things that I've learned. That is a really great positive result from a statewide prison system.
Yeah.
Watch that show, Locked Up Abroad. It's all stories about people who got arrested for smuggling drugs or whatever, and they're American citizens, but they went to foreign prisons, and it's all true stories about how these people got, they're like, dude, I'm never doing this again. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So Eric Rosen throws out socialism. Yes. So, not quite, Eric. We get it. Other guys, Eric Rosen worked for I'm spacing Radical Records.
Oh, nice.
For years.
Nice.
Yeah, was A&R guy, and I think we might have been, we wonder if Sturgeon might have been one of the very first internet signed bands, because they hadn't seen us, and they got the CD from someplace on the net.
Yeah.
And that's how we hooked up. So awesome. Maybe he'll remind me where it is, because he's got like this perfect memory. It's crazy. But not quite.
They stole your album from BitTorrent.
So it wasn't BitTorrent at the time. What was it?
Napster.
Napster. That's it.
No, I was fine with Napster. People were actually hearing our music,
Right. Well, at least,
did you hear what just happened to them?
No.
They did a concert on Twitch, and
Napster did?
Yeah.
What?
No, Metallica.
Oh, Metallica.
Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
But they a while ago they got dinged with a whole bunch of licensing lawsuits, and Metallica were part of that. As soon as Metallica started playing, the sound guy started playing open source music over, instead of piping their music through. They did that. Talk about getting owned.
Apparently,
that is getting trolled for sure.
Apparently, they also, at some point in time, when they played "For Whom the Bell Tolls," they replaced "For Whom the Bell Tolls" with actual bells.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading all about it.
Yeah. Be careful what you. Be careful what you do, because it will come back and slap you. And it's I don't know if you guys remember one of the early YouTubes was Napster bad, money good.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember that one.
Oh, I just fire bad. It's just one of my if I'm feeling down, I'll watch that because it just reminds me that I'm not dealing with the worst people on the planet at that moment. But yeah, it's anyways, but back to the topic we were just going about. You talk about people just want to feel like they belong, and that's a huge thing. I think just across the board that
for sure.
Everybody is becoming digitized and viewed as a number, and it's you can tell. I mean, like the communications, they're like people talk and they exchange information, but it's different. I'm going to sound like I'm an old guy. I remember when, but it's interesting because I've been to 81 countries, and it is crazy to see the difference of the levels of happiness. When people feel like they have a place in the society, and that they're just not a monetization point. And that's what's so challenging right now, is I think everybody does just kind of, whether they consciously know it or not, you really are just a monetization tool. It's like for Facebook, we are their product, right? I mean, everything we're doing here is their product, right? And it's all about how do they monetize what we're doing as content creators. But how do you keep the human face on that? And I think the way we're doing here is awesome, right? Because it kind of is.
Well, your question is, how do we get a human face on Zuckerberg? Because that dude is not human.
You have to be human first. So look, this is what happens when you lock yourself in a room for 3.5 years and just code. You forget how to deal with people. It's
some musicians are like that too.
Hey, Eric Rawson wanted to jump in the room, and we'd love to have you in, but Facebook does this lockout thing once we go live. But I want to let him know, and the audience, anybody who's in the feed, after the show is done, we'll share a link and we'll reopen the room once it's no longer live, and then you guys can join the room and we can all just hang out. So go over old stories and stuff.
Like at the hockey game afterwards, you had the family skate after the hockey game, so you could see around and see all the blood spots.
The hockey game?
Nice. Yeah, you're always like, whoop! Oh, that was a tooth.
Yeah, that might be worth something someday.
No, the best. This is when they get into like a physical altercation against the glass, and it's just like smear. Especially if you're right there.
Yeah, one of my favorite memories with my oldest. I think she was like 6 years old, maybe 5 or 6 years old, and we took her to a hockey game there in Salt Lake at the Grizz, and she was all excited, and I was kind of coaching her, like jokingly. It's like, you got to yell things at them, like you get a job, you lazy bum, or things like that.
Yeah.
And they're like in the second period, hard check right on the boards, just right where we were sitting in the front row. And here's this 6-year-old girl just runs up, starts smacking the glass. Get a job, you bum! The two players, they absolutely just collapsed laughing. I mean, they were out of play for like good 15-20 seconds.
Nice.
Yeah. This
nice. You should have got it on video.
Oh, I wish. This is the same girl who was asked to sing a song in church. And she raised her hand and said, "Oh, I'll sing a song." And she stood up on her chair and goes, bam, 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 bam. And sang the whole song. And
Nice.
the leaders were just like, we can't stop this. This is amazing. This is freaking awesome.
Nice.
Oh,
Your kids will deliver if you teach them right.
Not the same song, but you know the song "Beat on the Brat with a Baseball Bat." They someone took him to task for writing that song. They're like, you shouldn't speak about child endangerment, blah 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 blah. And then he's like, this is my mom, and she wrote the song. I literally took her lyrics because she was singing that, and I said we can make a song out of that. My mother wrote the song. And they're like, about you? Yes, about me. Yeah. That's the funny thing is like we're part of the cancel culture, right? So everyone's looking for that one thing. It's like, oh, that guy needs to be knocked off his soapbox. I'm going to cancel him because of this. Yeah. But we have to realize that as a society, that cancel culture can only go a certain distance, because in the end, anything can be funny as long as you truly believe that the person who's telling the joke does not mean it out of hatred, but means it out of love.
Yeah.
That's really the core of like a joke, is whether you're punching up or punching down. You punch up, no problem. You punch down, big problem. So you gotta sell the audience on you actually punching down because you love that person. Mm-hmm. You're giving them shit. And that's,
yeah.
It's just an interesting topic.
It comes down to knowing them, maybe, I suppose, at that point,
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Rich's band, the Israelites, they've been going for so long. I think I first met you in like Fresno, maybe, or LA, one of the big Steady Beat, maybe a Steady Beat show or something like that.
One of those.
Yeah, exactly. And kind of the characteristic of the Israelites is that they do this from a deeply rooted religious background. So Rich has always been a Christian performer, right? What I'd like to find out is, did you ever feel that because of your stance that your music was not accepted, or that it helped you or hurt you along your career path?
Oh, I feel it all the time. And it's just because people misunderstand. First of all, I don't view Christianity as a religion. It's a relationship. My purpose is not to shove things down people's throat. I just sing what I sing, just like Toots and the Maytals sang spiritual tunes, Prince Buster sang spiritual tunes. They all did. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'm doing. If you want to talk to me about it afterwards, start a conversation. I'll let you know. I've been able to help a lot of people, Yeah. The band is more than just like, I want to do something that's meaningful. We're talking about guys in prison, right?
Yeah.
I want to do something that's meaningful with my life. So my music, I know for a fact, is God-given talent. And I just want to share that in a positive way with other people and not cut people down. I'm not against this person because they're that way. Dude, I love everybody. You know what I'm saying? And, I just feel that I wanted to express that to people, and that's pretty much it, but I think people misunderstand that. They mix me in with these people, these quote unquote supposed people, Christians or whatever, religious people that put down homosexuals and they put down this person. No, dude. Who did Jesus hang out with? He hung out with prostitutes. He hung out with sinners. He hung out with tax collectors. And who did he put down? The Pharisees. He called them a brood of vipers. People in the church.
Yep.
And that's, dude, I'm street smart, dude. That's just the way I look at it.
Nice.
I'm with the people of the street, not those are the people I talk to. And I can't even tell you over the years how many people, especially I've hung out with a lot of hardcore skinheads, as you know. I mean, I've a lot of crews. I know a lot of different people. I can't tell you how many times after a show I've had some big tough skinhead pull me around the corner and say, dude, can you pray for me? I got all these guys after me now. I go, well, why did you get jumped into that crew then? I mean, and I've been able to talk a lot of sense into these guys' heads.
Yeah.
You know, and that's pretty much it. Just helping people out and being there for people.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's interesting because I'm not a religious guy. I had an unfortunate beginning with my family. My stepfather was a swindler. My father I didn't really know, and my mother was the one that kind of laid the traps for him. And so she laid the traps through churches. So she would go to the church and say, "Hey, my children are hungry. My children are cold. Can you give us money or food or clothing or whatever, a free car, whatever you got, I'll take it." And so they'd say, "Well, you don't really go to our church, blah, 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 blah." And then she says, "Well, I have my son and my son can be baptized." And so I'm the only person probably you'll meet in your lifetime that's been baptized: a Catholic, Nazarene, Mormon, Baptist. Like literally, it was every year or so, or maybe even less, we would get into another relationship with a new church. And then I'd have to go through I'm like, the dunk again. And they're like, "Oh no, this doesn't do the dunk. They do this, they sprinkle you with water." Okay, cool. As long as I don't have to do the dunk again. Well, so for me, I had a really negative view of religion. And then
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, I'm like, these guys, all they want is a redemption story. That's what got me about the churches, is that they didn't care that the person actually got better. They cared that the person had a good story about getting better through Christ, right? So they would bring these people that are like, the Lord saved me. I was doing meth. I was doing crack. I was a prostitute. The Lord saved me. And then that person would get be out in the parking lot and they're like, "Yeah, we got another date at another church. Yeah, fuck this place," and they would get paid big bucks. And after seeing all that stuff in the back end, sitting at the diocese office, trying to do the swindle that my parents had for the churches, and then them also complaining about these other people that were swindling them because they just needed a good story. I'm like, man, you guys, there's something that's not right about the concept of religion. So for me, I don't follow religion, but I believe that everything in this world is a religion, that everything in this world is linked, and that everybody has something that they can fall in love with and be truly geeky about or passionate about. And that's your religion. For me, it's music, So, I never get in an argument with people about their religious beliefs, but I will certainly talk about a religion and its effect on society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, it's just like, you're like a lot of people, man. They get so screwed over by the church, that they never were taught right. You know what I'm saying? And I want to change all that. There's a lot of people who do. I mean, there's a ton of Christian punk bands out there that've been around for years, and they all feel the same way. Big one, not really punk, but POD.
Yeah.
They started off playing Christian churches and stuff. Now they're playing forums, and they went to a secular label. Oh my God. No, because they're actually doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to piss people off and this and that. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even go to a church anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have people that I fellowship. Me and Buddy, we talk all the time. That's fellowship. What we're doing right now is fellowshipping.
Yeah.
And that's
what was it? If one or more people are gathered in my name, there is a church.
Two or more.
This church. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It's about loving each other and being positive, and and I mean, no offense, but I mean, I'll speak the truth if you ask me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I the last thing that I want to do is get in an argument with somebody about quote unquote religion. That's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
It's all about showing people agape love, because love conquers everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important for us to kind of bring up subjects like this, because we have Bill, who grew up in Salt Lake City and was under the thumb of Mormonism for years. And we've had some stories and shared some insight with each other in the past about it, and just to hear that people are out there that are actually level-headed about it is sometimes kind of takes down the temperature of the room. You know, gets everybody on the same path.
Yeah, I think
I know skinheads that were Mormons.
Yeah. Well,
and they got cruised while they were Mormons.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's the big debate. You know, did the straight edge movement start in Salt Lake, right? I mean, there's like, you hear a lot of people say, yeah, that's kind of where it started. You know, and you know, some dudes were way over the top. You know, with it. You know, there were at the core there was some good ideas. It's just, you know, it's the execution on it. And
but you know, it's like anything else. The more people get into it, and as time like, oh, now we're going to add this to it, and now we're going to add this to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like gravy. You got a thick gravy. Okay, that's perfect. Now let's put a little bit more water in it. More water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's you know, with my family, you know, my mom was Jewish. My dad came from a Baptist background. You know, and when we moved to California, I mean, I lived in a predominantly, you know, Jewish area, and it was, you know, it's very interesting because, you know, you comment about you don't view Christianity as a religion. It's more of a you know, a family or a society type of thing, and it's a culture, all right? And that's really how Judaism also functions. Is it's more about the culture than the you know, practice, you know, than at the core doing all the, you know, the pedantic practices. And what happens, you do have extremes. Right, and those are the folks everybody hears about. It's just like in everything we hear about, you know, the extreme edges, you know, and we forget that there is 98% of the rest of everybody who's in the middle. You know, so you know, and people, because it's not salacious, it's not scintillizing, you know, to just say, yeah, oh, that's okay, it's normal, all right, you know. Because for me, this is really how I see religion. You know, I've never really attended church, you know, or synagogue or any of that, but for me, it really is more about, look, you know, there's really the big three. Don't do those, right? And that ultimately it really is a relation between you and your God. End of story. Right? It's that relationship. That is the only relationship that should matter, and it's not up to anybody. Look, I don't care if you dig goats, you know, or blondes or whatever. That has nothing to do with the person you are.
What if you dig blonde goats?
Wait.
But no, I mean, but it's not for me to say, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, if
it's not,
you know, on the whole, you are, I mean, you're you know, you're kind to people, you're helpful, you're supportive. You don't run around killing people, you don't run around robbing people, you know. I mean, so it really is more about a culture of respect.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, and this is what it seems like it just always kind of gets lost, because you start to have these kind of fringes and extremes. And we as musicians, and you know, in the entertainment industry, have a very unique capability to spread that.
Yeah.
You know, it's also our job to call the bullshit, right? When somebody says they're doing it and they're not, right? You know, and yeah, you can gain a lot of ire, you can get a lot of hate mail, you can have people setting your lawns on fire, but you know, you gotta call it what it is. And you know, it's really important for artists and performers who have the ability to really grab the emotional side of what we do, because that is where people, you know, really end up going, and you know, we need to be very responsible with that.
Yeah.
And it sucks when you see people that are not responsible with the power that we have as entertainers.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the record, leave the ghost alone, though, right?
Yeah.
Poor
Unless the goat is
Yeah.
consenting.
again, I mean,
I've also got blood, so I actually I lean more towards sheep. So.
I gotta go.
But yeah, and it goes back. It also goes to this cancel culture.
Yeah,
because along with all of that, nobody's perfect, and we expect everybody else to be perfect before ourselves.
no.
Right. And you talk about this cancel culture things, and I was asked to write an article about what should how should society deal with a performer that later in their career is found to have some character flaws.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and the knee-jerk reaction now is to erase them.
Yeah. Right.
But
Put them on blast.
Yeah, but there are people out there in the entertainment industry that have changed a lot of people's lives for the good, and they're not perfect. And you can't erase them. And this really, this is one of the things that bothers me. Is when you do have this, it's an all or nothing.
Now, I do believe I agree with that to a certain degree. The only thing that I think that needs to be kind of set in a separate category is someone who is actively doing something like disenfranchising people based on the color of their skin.
Well, that's not being a good person, though. I mean, that's not being in it for the betterment of the larger society.
I feel
for sure.
I feel like in instances like that, it gets out of the like cancel culture aspect of it, and it really is more of a consequence culture at that point in time. Like no, you don't get to post a bunch of racist ass memes all over your like 6 million follower page. Like what? You work for freaking Disney. Like, no, that's not what you get to do. You've literally signed contracts to say you don't get to do that.
Yeah, Disney.
Like you've literally signed these contracts. I've signed contracts. I'm not allowed to do certain things on social media, and I just work at a fucking restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, like nope. This is no longer a like you didn't get canceled because you made a stupid tweet after a party 9 years ago, and people are being stupid about a single tweet from like 9 years ago. That's dumb shit. I can't get behind that. But were you blasting people based on their sexual orientation or the color of their skin or like real like deep rooted issues in this country? Yes, you were. You were told to stop by your boss that you signed a contract with you again and again, and you didn't. That's not cancel culture anymore. That's fucking consequence culture. Like, that is direct consequences of your actions.
And it should be that way unless they come back with an actual and real and sincere apology or show that they're not that way anymore.
Right?
Because that's one of the good things about life is that people can evolve and change and grow and absorb new information and change their mind, right?
The problem
in that moment, if somebody is doing those things, that's when you just need to say, fuck that, you're out of here.
But the problem with the Facebook culture is
that they can't change later, though. Maybe.
The problem with the Facebook culture is there's people aren't forgiving anymore. If somebody's caught doing something, he changes. It doesn't matter. Everybody remembers what you did, and they put you on blast, and it's just it's unbelievable, and it's really sad.
Well, there's something about like written text too being more powerful than something you just say like out of, or even in a format like this where you can really feel the context of like say a conversation or something, as opposed to just written text in a text message or an email or a social media post or something, where people can just you interpret the words how you see them, and so things can be mixed, taken the wrong way. Very,
There is so much to tone of voice.
Yeah, I'm terrible at it personally, at texting and everything. I come off the wrong way.
Are you angry at me? Like, no, I was just telling you what time lunch is tomorrow.
It's like, no, I'm not a dick. I just, I'm bad at writing this in such a way that, like,
yeah. Seriously.
Well, it comes back to that concept of if the listener can hear the love in your voice, it doesn't really matter what you say. It can be considered funny or it can be considered normalized, as long as they know that it's not coming from a center of degradation. You're not degrading someone. You're actually lifting them up. Like, when I see people on the street, sometimes I'm like, "You broke ass motherfucker," and they love it, and their friends love it, and I love it, and we all love it. But it's kind of a mean thing to say, right?
Yeah.
Like you're calling them out for not having money, but that came from a moment that people, everyone around, including people on the street that don't even know us, they don't think I'm going to throw down with this guy. They don't think I'm going to kick his butt, but they think like, hey, he knows him and he's using a vernacular that's really like expressive to express his love for that person, and that's what I think it comes from. That tone.
They understand that you're coming from a good place, and that maybe in a way you're sort of making fun of yourself at the same time, right? Like probably a broke ass dude as well. So,
like a lot of people don't get me because I'm originally from New York.
Oh yeah.
And out there it's like, if we make fun of you, that means we like you. Okay. And
breaking your balls.
Out here in Oregon, they can't get me. They think I'm too intense. And I said, hey, that's
see that.
the way I am.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like that in Oregon.
It took Buddy a long time to get used to me.
And also to get used to some other folks in Portland.
It's
I've the same as other places. I've lived lots of different places, and so and in other countries and stuff, and so it's different every place that you live. But like, it's the Pacific Northwest is unique. Let's say, There's a lot of great, and there's things that I love and things that I dislike about every place I've ever been. Right? So
what? You're not vegan? What's wrong with me?
Right.
Oh my God!
Don't worry about it. You live in Portland. Just put a bird on it.
Put a bird on it.
Put a bird on it.
Some weed or mushrooms or whatever.
Well, you know what our national flower is, right?
That
Moss.
I thought you were going to say the cannabis.
No Rolling Stones. No Rolling Stones.
We don't tan, we rust.
Old
Awesome.
man jokes.
Yeah. Well, and this is awesome, right? We're like, I think what's great is the people listening here, they're listening over time and they get the context. And, we unfortunately we live in a world of the soundbite.
Yeah.
And and it's been weaponized, and this is one of the challenges. Like, everything we're saying here has context, but I guarantee you, if somebody wants to do an attack, right, they can just and listen to what he said, right, and they'll take those 4 words, right, and I'm not sure exactly what the exact formula is, but it's something like it takes like 5 to 5.5 minutes to set context.
Yeah.
But less than 2 seconds to deliver position.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
And
that's why I just I just have like a ton of sound bites that I pulled from these shows that is just Curtis saying, "I love cock. I love cock. I love cock."
No, like 5 minutes after the show, there's going to be like a post of me going, "You broke ass motherfucker! You broke ass motherfucker! You broke ass motherfucker!"
I very clearly remember him at a show telling a biker lesbian how much he liked her stepping on his cock.
We told this story the other day. Okay. I'll abbreviate it. We played this.
25 minutes for him to tell.
We told this. We played this divey ass club, and everybody was. Our band played with Sturgeon General, Bill's band, and we got to the club, and Bill's band was like, "Man, we shouldn't even be playing the show." And they played, and I was reading the room, and everyone was kind of rude and insulting, but like in a fun, loving way, and in a weird way. It was a veterans hangout, so it was like a
this was Taco Land.
No, Taco Land was a veterans bar. It was a veterans bar.
That was better because we wound up at the VFW, which we'll save for Sturgeon.
VFW was amazing.
We'll save
the
that
VFW
for
was
night.
But on the Taco Land night, I realized that most of the bartender and the people at the bar were like old Vietnam vets, and they were just like sitting around like talking shit, right? And so they were like whenever Sturgeon would end, they'd be like, play a song you actually know, that side of the thing. And I don't think we were ready for it. It seemed like everyone was kind of like a little bit nervous. And then I got up there and we were playing, and this lesbian couple comes in. And when I say lesbian, I say traditional, old school, like two women in big jeans getting off of a motorcycle. Lesbian, and they came into the club, and I say that with love. I say that with love because I've known a lot of them. And they come into the club, and she's like, "Boo, you guys suck," whatever she's saying. And I'm on the mic, and I'm like, "Hey, we drove all the way from San Jose, California, to be here for you. You should give us a little respect." And she's like, "I drove all the way from San Francisco," and I'm like, "Bing, I know this type of personality." So she's like blah 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 blah. She's just trying to cut me down, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you from the back of the room. You're gonna have to step a little closer. And so she's like, I'll step closer. So she ran all the way up, and she's like in my face, like poking at me, just like, you said this, and I lean into the mic. Hey, honey, shh, and I'm all, you're standing on my dick. I just said that as close and softly into the microphone, and the whole room went. And that was it. We owned the room after that, and she turned around and she literally and walked to the back of the room, and it was adorable.
She wound up buying several rounds. Yeah. Yo quiero taco man.
Yo quiero taco man. All right. With that being said, we're past the hour, so we should probably wrap this up.
Do something.
I don't know about an after party. I'm going to go do something. But we have two questions, and this is the second question of the night. Where'd he go? He's actually going to do something.
I'll wait.
He's like, you caught me midstream. So we only have two questions. The first one was, what did you do last year? But this is the more important question, which is, what are we all going to do this year? What ideas have you had in your mind about not just playing music, but encouraging others to take it seriously, to encourage others to hit the ground running, to encourage others to create and to be creative and to express themselves, and to cause not just clubs to reopen and everybody to go in and buy the same beer that they've gotten their entire life, but to realize that will be a renaissance. We want a renaissance to happen. And in order to get that renaissance to happen, we have to all think like Renaissance entrepreneurs. So
like Renaissance, man.
Entrepreneurs. It's a new word. But, I would like to just find out from everybody in the room, and we'll do one by one, what you have thought of in the last year that you can do to encourage people to take it seriously and to say that art and music is worth our time as a society. Let's start that off with Buddy.
Yeah.
Buddy,
Well,
have you thought of anything in the last year while looking at the same four walls?
sure, well, folks that don't understand that art and music is a very important part of culture. I don't understand to begin with. That's something that's hard for me to comprehend. I can't imagine my life without music and art and what it would be like. It's hard for me to imagine other people not appreciating it. I know from having lived some other places that there's other places in the world where people do appreciate it more, than they tend to here, at least monetarily, to start with. That being said, just keep on keeping on, keep doing what you can do.
Yeah.
Because it's tough. You could say like, oh, we could be using this time as a group, for example, to work on any number of things, or stage presence or something, for example, but you can't do that unless you're kind of together, right?
Yeah.
And so, so there's all these obstacles, and so I think it's about just pushing forward and doing what you can do. It's like, well, we can't do all of these things, so what can we do now? And I think I'm like a lot of people where I would love for it to just one day be over, right? Like, hey, this COVID thing, it's over. We're done. Everything's reopened. It's party time, But I know that it's not going to happen that way. I know that it's going to be like a gradual process, right? So to have that renaissance happen, I don't know. It might be more difficult than we think, just because it's going to be a slow process. So what can we do to accelerate that? I think is to do whatever we can right now to keep creating and content, for lack of a better word, and keep pushing music out, just to say to people that, hey, we haven't gone away. We're still doing this. We're going to keep doing it, and nothing's going to stop us. Personally, I need to play music for my mental health. So
I hear you there. I hear you there. Yeah, staying positive, it's key, and showing other people the positivity that you experience from music is absolutely key in getting other people on board with that.
I feel like there might be some more grassroots stuff happening when this starts to transition. More people doing DIY stuff, because there might not be as many clubs around, right? At least initially. And so I think there's going to be a lot of that going on. And even touring and playing, sometimes those are the most fun things. Those are sometimes the events or the shows where you make the coolest connections and have the best time. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our previous, I think it was the last episode, one of the previous guests said, what I loved about the show was that it felt like I was backstage again. And just to give me that feeling again, she's like, it was totally worth spending an hour. To get the feeling.
Cool. Yeah, right.
Definitely.
Enjoying about it too,
For sure. Rich, you've been stuck in the same four walls with you and your elliptical machine. What do you think that we can do, or you can do, or I can do to encourage people to take this seriously and to be more expressive and blossom in this time of COVID?
Well, if it keeps going, definitely record more. Help each other out doing that. Networking with other bands. I just talked to Terrence, the Buddy's drummer, who has his own little recording studio, and that's what I'm building in my garage. And so I'm like, I thought about it. I said, I wonder if this guy's going to think like, I'm trying to like be Cox and Dodd and he's Duke Reed, and if I ask him to come help me out or something. So I said, I'm gonna ask him anyways. He goes, yeah, dude, I'd love to come help you out, build your studio, and show you how to do anything, because I don't know. I want to learn. You know what I'm saying? And so it's networking with other bands. Because my dream, when I came up here, my dream was to unite all the ska bands like we had in LA back in the day. You know, Steady Beat was going. I mean, it was just like you always saw the same 5 or 6, 7 bands. And I don't even know if you remember a band called Lucky Seven?
No.
Oh yeah.
They had the West Coast Coalition. We had the West Coast Coalition, and you had to send 2 representatives from every band to this Denny's out in like Riverside. They all had. They said, "That's it. We're putting down Steady Beat. We are starting our own thing here. This is what you're gonna do." Da 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 da. And I was just like, "Yeah, dude, whatever." But anyways, that's what I want to do up here. I want to unite the bands and start doing stuff. And I've always dreamed of doing my festival.
Yeah.
I want to call it Jamaican Celebration. And even, believe it or not, get some roots reggae bands in there. Because there's a band up here called Rocking Buffalo Tribe. And they have this chick Zema, Zema. Check her out. And I mean, they play good roots reggae.
Nice. Maybe I'll have her on the show.
Yeah, just kind of uniting, because then that widens it, you know.
For sure.
You know, just networking together and supporting each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it used to. Not this is, and I'll tell you, this is what kind of bugs me now, is the whole rock star mentality. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of bands don't mean to do it, but it just happens, and it's just like, man, this doesn't feel like how it was back at Fender's Ballroom in '89, where we saw scooters all down, like all the bands hung out together, and this and that. That's what I want to feel again. You know?
For sure. I'm right there with you. Awesome. Hey, Bill.
I'm going to take a...
Okay. I gotta pee.
Actually...
Just so we want to hear the flush.
All right, everybody sing a different song.
No, Bill, you've been stuck in the same 4 walls, just like all of us. Not able to travel the world, not able to eat those different foods and hang out with those different people. Have you given a thought to the credence of art in this world, and whether people like how to energize people and make them care about music?
Yeah, actually, I mean, weirdly enough, yes. So there's a couple things that there's been there's been these little pop-ups about it, and I think we really need to come up with a way to make people feel comfortable. And it really is more like the parlor type of event, right? Where it can be 2-3 performers, but it's a small group, right? And it's not the big overblown thing. But we can do that, if we still have to be socially distanced, we can do that, right? But we also as artists need to have a plan for when we're going to bring everybody back in, and it's been a real. I mean, like Rich says, the network has been systematically kind of taken apart over the last 20 years for those local touring bands. And I think that something needs to be built to really connect, the local bands that can help the traveling bands, right? And you do this cross fertilization, and back in the late '90s and early aughts, I mean, it was alive. It was alive and well.
Absolutely.
Right? You send out on Facebook was just starting to become a thing, but there was this little thing called MySpace. You just guys, here's our list. We're looking for some help on gigs, and that so. It really was a DIY, but I think it's there can be something a little bit more there. And the other thing is two last things. One to what Rich said, right, guys, other bands out there. There are a whole lot of folks that hear this, but if you have a touring band coming in, whatever you do, for God's sakes, don't be the headliner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right?
hell
It
no.
blows how many times we would show up in town, right? And it was, you know, the local band was like, nah, man, we got the headline. You can be right before us, right? And then we got this other you know other band coming out. It's like, no, it goes the other freaking way around. You know, I mean, you're there to make to make it possible for the other bands to continue doing what they're doing. And the flip side will happen when you show up in their town. So as a local band, never take the headline spot. This isn't an ego
I feel like
thing. This is a sharing thing.
I think that we might have a difference of opinion here, and and I'll tell you what it is. I don't want to jump too deep into the subject. Is that when a band from out of town comes to your town, often they don't have an audience.
Right.
So if you don't take if the local hometown band does not take the headlining position, then it forces the out of town band to play for nobody. So
potentially can happen, but the middle slot is usually a lot of times the best slot, right?
That's usually
there's the most people that are in the venue. Whereas if they don't know the last band, perhaps they'll leave, right?
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about in context of the out of town band that already has a name. Those guys, yes, let them like, for the love of God, you are Fishbone. We're not going to headline over Fishbone. Screw that.
Oh, I totally would do that. but this might be a whole nother show.
Right.
But the last thing I ask everybody to do is share your music with other people, right? I love nothing more. Than seeing a list of texts that have have you heard this band? Have you seen this? Have you seen this dance? Have you seen this theater thing? And share it, and don't be embarrassed. People are embarrassed. It's like we always joke. It's like like the running joke in ska, right? Everybody, ska is fun to listen to until your friends see you, right? But because it's like I very rarely come across anybody who says I hate that, right? But they're embarrassed that because it's like I don't know what it is, but don't be afraid to share, and it kind of goes to that parlor thing. Have a listening party. Like, do this. Call up a bunch of your friends. Say, hey, everybody, take a turn and spin a song.
Yeah. That's good. I can see like an old school what was it, the old Tupperware parties or Mary Kay parties where you call your all your friends together and you just go, we're gonna spin a song here, spin a song there. It's gonna be all independent artists, and we'll have a little discussion or chat over crackers and tea. That's cool. All right. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Tonight we had Rich Moonstomp from the Israelites, Buddy J. Kieffer from the Cascadians and from the Israelites. We also had Bill Hosack from Sturgeon General, and poor Juan Carlos couldn't make it. But we'll bring him back on another show.
Womp, womp, womp.
We'll bring him out of jail.
Excellent. And you've been guests on the Bidness.